All right, so I just hit 10 grand a month in my SaaS. It's a SaaS where I'm the only person working there, and I hit 10K a month in revenue. Actually, last month I did $12,000 in revenue, and just because I know there'll be haters, I wanted to prove it. So I actually did 13.7 total, but I think Stripe, this included like something that I refunded, something like that. So the real total was more like 12,700, something like that. And yeah, I'm just gonna tell you. I mean, I've been doing online business for about 3 years, and I'm not gonna go through my whole journey because, quite frankly, I don't have that much interesting stuff to say about it right now. But I'm gonna talk about what it's like to hit 10 grand a month and try to set your expectations for hitting 10 grand a month, especially in your own SaaS. So I I went for a walk the other day and I wrote down, or I basically spoke about a lot of these points, and I just had ChatGPT summarize them. So we're just going to cover that. And really, I want to start here, which is kind of the step change mentality. Okay. Oh my God. There's a loud ass helicopter flying by, which it's just noise pollution. It's so annoying. But I really do think that entrepreneurship goes in waves like this, okay? And it's actually interesting because, like most good math and most things that are true, it involves the number pi, a number very close to pi. Because, I'm just going to show you, if we do square root of 10, we'll find that that's 3.16 or approximately pi, okay? So, what I want to show you is that I believe entrepreneurship goes in step changes of about 3.16, 3.14, and how much money you make follows that pattern. So the first thing you have to do when you start out making money online is you have to make your first dollar. And actually, this usually looks like making your first $100 where you sell a website for super cheap or something like that. So let's say you start at like $100, right? And then maybe you sell a couple other websites. So times, I wonder if I can do times pi. So you make about $300. Now you're kind of into the online business space, okay? This is what it looks like really just to get started. And this was, I think, the first time I actually started making money online. I think I charged like $250. So you're right around that point. And then you get a little bit further, and we get on to pi squared, which is the second order, and that's $1,000 a month, okay? And at $1,000 a month, you're actually adding on to what you're making already. And then we go to 3 orders of magnitude, and now you're at 3K a month. And this is where I stayed for about like 2.5 years, something like that. I could never really breach even like the 5 grand a month mark. I was basically just making like 3 grand a month, just kind of surviving. This is not really enough to quit your job if you have like bills to pay or a mortgage or whatever. But it is kind of like an online income, and so I think this is a place where most people end up plateauing. I think it's very difficult to go from, so I was in this program. I was running like a marketing agency previous to building the SaaS. And what I found was that there's so many people who, first of all, one of my observations was there was some people in that group who started out at the same place as me. And I looked at them and I went, oh my gosh, this is so cool. This kid's like my age. He's also interested in business. And it's just awesome. Like, we're going to be really successful together. And some of those guys went fucking insane. The first month they joined it, they went past 10 grand a month. Then they're probably doing like 100 grand a month by now. And that was insane because most people never even got to like $1,000 a month. They never even scratched the surface of making money online. And I think that's where most people fail, right? Especially if you look at the whole population of the world. Most people, maybe if we just take like the US, for example, there's so many people who want to start a business. Maybe they launch like an online shop or something, and they have like something they're trying to sell. But, starting a business is hard, and there's lots of things you have to get right for it to work. And when one of those things doesn't work, they kind of give up. And so they don't make their first, $100 or $1,000 per month. Um, but, and so most people basically fail there. But if you manage to push through, then I think you're on the second hardest part, which is going basically from $3,000 to $10,000 per month. That took me, as I said, like 2.5 years. That was extremely difficult to do. But you only have to 3x from $3,000 to $10,000 per month. And so if we add another order of magnitude here, not order of magnitude, but you get the idea, then we find that now we're at 9,740. And so as you can see, pi is not the best approximation of this. 3.16 is a lot closer. But now we're at 10 grand a month. So you only have to 3x. And I really think, literally, I was doing like 3 grand a month like a few months ago. Like it was not that long ago. And I just flew up to the 10 grand a month mark. And I really think that's how it goes a lot of the time. Like there's periods where you're just stuck, for so long. And then all of a sudden it just happens like that. And that is really what it feels like. Like it's just too fast to process where all of a sudden you're at your goal. And yeah, it's also interesting that it does really follow this kind of 3x. At least for me, that's what it followed. So now my goal is 3.16 to the 5th and then 3.16 to the 6th. So 30K a month and then $100,000 per month respectively. Obviously, those are really big barriers to cross, but that's kind of the goal, and that's kind of where I expect to hit my plateaus around those marks. But yeah, so anyways, I think those are the plateaus, and the crazy thing about it is once you hit 10K a month, like I had imagined it probably like 1,000 times, when I hit 10 grand a month, I'm going to walk around like the biggest badass. I'm just going to look down on everyone. Like, this is actually what I was thinking. I'm a fucking psychopath. I'm going to look down on people. I'm going to be like, dude, I'm so rich. The crazy thing is, when you actually hit this goal, that's not what you think at all. You hit the goal, and the only thing in your brain is, okay, 30K a month. Like, you're just looking at the next goal. It's crazy. And I've heard this about money in almost every regard, where it's like people who, like what I've heard as kind of the rule is the amount of money people want. So like if you have like $5 million in the bank, a lot of people will be like, I just need $10 million to be financially like sound. But then the people who have $10 million to go like, I just need like $20 million. And it's always like roughly like 2 times what they have. And so I think just making some amount of money isn't really that significant. It's just like a different goalpost. And yeah, like some things have changed. Like I went to the grocery store and I didn't really look at the prices. And I eat at Chipotle like almost every day. I'm not like splashing out like crazy. But there are slight changes. But overall, like your life's going to remain pretty much the same, at least in the short term. And so, yeah, that was just one thing I noticed. One thing specific about SaaS is I have this kind of like, and this could be logical. Like I'm always just looking at this like next feature where every time I push out a big feature, this kind of relates to the next goalpost thing. You're always like, I just need this one more feature and then my product's going to be amazing. And I think, if you look at any product like Notion's just a blank slate, and yet they can't stop adding features. And there's so many tools like this where they just keep building. They have huge engineering teams like Stripe. Stripe works. I guess there's features that they hadn't prioritized that I like wanted to use, but in general, Stripe is pretty good. Why would they need like 6,000 engineers or something? I think they have less, but I think you always just are looking to the next feature. And so I think that's also a trap you can fall into, which I'm proactively trying to avoid that, but it's pretty easy to put off marketing and be like, well, I just need to ship this one feature, then the product will sell itself. and I think that's kind of a fallacy. But it's definitely there, especially once you have to start to have success with your SaaS. Like you would think it goes away once you like kind of have your MVP and like have people signing up, but no, it just doubles down. Like the urgency for your new features just gets even higher. Um, and that's kind of wild. Um, yeah, then there's momentum. I don't know. I mean, this is GPT 4.1. I feel like the more you use a certain LLM, the dumber it feels. Because I've been using 4.1. At first, the first time I used 4.1, I was like, oh my gosh, this is genius. And now when I use 4.1 or Claude, I'm just like, bro, you're a fucking idiot, dude. um, okay, so we're using Claude 4 Opus now, which is not only the best coding model, but I think the smartest model just for basically anything. But yeah, the other thing, and I heard Andrew Tate say this a while ago, which is basically that acceleration is what's intoxicating, where it's fun to go from 3K a month to 10K a month. That's extremely exciting. But once you're there, it's not as fun. Um, and so I think part of the challenge is to keep that growth going. And I also don't necessarily think it's healthy to just totally focus on growth. This brings me to like another point where, um, you know, a lot of people tell me, especially because I have like a B2B software, they tell me like, bro, you need to like go hard on ads. You need to get a sales team, like do this, this, and this, and then you can scale the fuck out of it. And for me, I want to make a lot of money, obviously, but I don't want to sacrifice. Um, I'm not Alex Hormozy. Alex Hormozy is happy to sacrifice. At least he says he's happy to sacrifice, his whole 20s and all this shit to. Honestly, I think Hormozy's a little bit fucked in the head. I've got his hat on, but um, he just. I don't even understand his goal. He's like, I just want to be the best version of myself that I can be, make as much money. And he's not having kids. He's like, just purely focused on making money, which I think is, I mean, who am I to say? But I think it's a little shallow. I think um, really it's all about having control over like your time and your attention. And so a lot of the reason I do this business is for fun. And I know that if I get a sales team, it's not going to be fun. One of the biggest things that held me back when I was doing 3 grand a month um, in my first business was the fact that I hated it. I hated selling. I hated cold calling. I hated servicing my customers. I hated dealing with customers. I hated 99% of it. And I kept thinking, I'm just going to scale this, then I'm going to quit and do something else. I'm just going to scale this. I just need to do this. And the reality is, if you don't like the idea of it, get out. Like, it's not going to work. Like, that is the biggest warning sign, I think. And so, I really think you have to just, like, do things the way you want to do them. Like, I've been stubborn my whole entrepreneurship career, and it hasn't, it probably hasn't helped me because I've had peers that just skyrocket to like 100 grand a month. Um, but that being said, like, I think there are different types of motivations that can do it, and I don't have that like kind of deep down motivation that a lot of people have. Um, and I kind of have to be motivated by doing something I enjoy and building the kind of life I want. And um, yeah, I mean, building a sales team, managing sales reps is just not what I want to do. And I really think you have to prioritize what you want to do and what you're actually trying to build. That's part of why, like, B2B software is oftentimes, they never prioritize user experience or like visual kind of like how nice it is to look at. Like, they just go after raw, just like functionality, just adding features and like, the UI sucks. And I like paying attention to the user experience. I really like it. And I'll probably make less money because of that, but I feel good about my product because I focus a lot on the user experience. And I think that's really important to prioritize. But yeah, so Oh yeah, this is I've talked about this before, but momentum is a really big factor where like when you actually have momentum, when you have people signing up for your product, um, that motivates you to really want to keep working on the product. Whereas when you have no one signing up, when you're just before, like when you're pre-revenue, um, that's hell. And even when you just like stop shipping for like a week and just focus on one big feature, that's also really hard. So you have to be mindful of your motivation, and keep talking to customers, keep selling, you know, like run ads or make YouTube videos or do whatever you need to do to get customers because it's not about the money, really. Especially in the early days, like it's not about getting another, I don't know, $20 a month customer, whatever you're charging. It's about the reinforcement, giving yourself the energy. Even if you have employees, you have to have that motivation and that belief. And that a lot of the times, at least for me, comes from kind of seeing the value that I'm able to provide, and seeing other people see the value. So, yeah. Also, this is something really crazy because when you start out, and I know like every SaaS founder has this, I had things like this. I think every new entrepreneur has these kind of fears like, gosh, this market I'm going into, is the TAM big enough? Can I actually acquire customers? Like, I have competitors, it's not going to work. People won't pay this much. And dude, you will just, like I said, like it goes in, steps from like 3 to 10K a month. And what you'll realize is in those like, few weeks or like month that you're not even thinking about it, you'll go from 3 to 10K and you'll realize, wow, I thought the TAM wasn't big enough, but I'm already like a tenth away to 100K a month, and I haven't even touched the TAM. And then people won't pay that much. This guy just signed up for like $1,000 a month without even thinking about it. And there's competitors. Well, these people don't even like they use my app and a competitor's app. Like there's just so many things that you think are barriers, and either I think I said this yesterday, but either those barriers will stop you or you'll just plow over them without even noticing, and you'll look back like a month later and go like, wow, that was just an illusion in the first place. And it's really crazy. Like success does kind of what's the saying? It's like success follows success or something. See, I'm an idiot. I mean, if I can do it, you can do it. But um yeah, I mean, it's like once you have some success, you will actually see that it's really not that hard. It's like if you can stop overthinking, a lot of the times if you just execute, like things just work. And I'm sure I've like gotten lucky. There's a lot of luck involved in any time a business succeeds. Like I can't deny that at all. But I also think there's like a degree of overthinking that a lot of people do that I'm extremely guilty of. And if you just like don't think about it, or you just take the action instead of thinking about it, then you'll realize it was just a mental barrier, never a real barrier. Um, so yeah, mental barriers, blah blah blah. I did not mention this. I'm not going to become religious. I was taking note that sometimes you see successful, especially like you see successful people become religious, and I was always like, what is this about? But someone, I think it was Andrew Santino, who's like a comedian. He made a note of this where it's like people who came from kind of a poor background or something, they become successful, and to rationalize it, they become religious because that's like a way to kind of try to make sense of the fact that they became successful given other people that they know or their past, like seeing how kind of fucked up it was. um yeah, I really want to get a Lamborghini. um and then uh yeah, yeah, I mean, I don't know, that was kind of a all over the place video. I think something really big on my mind now is like there's just pressure from people who are more successful than me to build something really big, you know? And it's hard to be young. At the same time, it's awesome. Obviously, when you're older, you would want to be younger. But when you look at a decision like this, like the smartest, most successful people I know are telling me, dude, fucking scale this bitch up to like 100 grand a month. Just get a sales team, rip it. And I'm like, I don't think that's what I want. Like, I always dreamed of being like Peter Levels, just having like a software that spits off free cash flow and that allows me to kind of travel and just hang out with people and like have fun. That was really the goal. Um, and yeah, I mean, at the same time, I think like there is something to be said for trying to, if you have something that's working, just go for it. Try to get it to like a $10 million exit or something, and then you can live on that and you can like invest it and you're basically set for life. I mean, 10 million isn't like you're not really set for life unless you live very frugally and invest pretty smartly. But the same kind of thought still applies. Like you could kind of go for it and just try to get as much cash as possible today. But at the same time, it's like, I don't know. How much is it worth to just torture yourself? Like, if you don't want to build a huge business, I don't think you want to build a huge business. I mean, I like coding. I like thinking of systems. I like kind of, putting things together. But I don't really like the role of a CEO. Like, I just have so much shit on my brain right now. Like, customer support at this point could be like its own full-time job. And then obviously product development is its own full-time job. Fixing bugs could be another problem full-time job, and then marketing could be hired out. But I just don't want to have a big organization like that. It just sounds like hell. Um, and so that's kind of the decision I'm trying to make. And yeah, I haven't made my mind up. I mean, I'm pretty heavily leaning towards just like, how big can I grow this on my own? But yeah, um, I don't know. I hope this video was at least helpful. I don't know. Hopefully it wasn't too depressing because I'm not like bouncing off the walls having hit 10K a month. It is cool, obviously. I think the gross profit was something like 9,600, so almost 10K a month in profit. But all I can think about is like, let's just double it, you know? Let's just let's just get to 30K a month, and then it's only another 3x to 100K a month. Like, that's all I can think about, and building out the next features. But I think the crazy thing about it is the more time you put into your product, basically as your business grows, there becomes more surface area. Like, this is a really kind of Silicon Valley whatever metaphor, but you add new features, and you also add new customers, and you add maybe more marketing channels and more, I don't know, information, and you just have so much more surface area around your product that you have to maintain, where you have to go like, fuck, dude, like this one bug here, this would normally be like 10% of my product, but now it's like 1% of my product, but it's still important. And so instead of having one bug that you can fix in a day that's like really easy, you have like a week's worth of bugs that just stop you. And so the velocity does slow down a lot, and you just get a lot more stressed out. And so, yeah, I mean, hopefully I can get to a point where I don't have to be like obsessed with this all the time. But even now, I'm having issues with kind of the infrastructure, and I'm gonna have to do a big shift at some point, and then just like bugs and security, and there's like so much shit to think about. Um, it's really stressful. I've literally been like, yeah, just like super stressed. It's crazy. So, but hey, I mean, money's cool, obviously. So, um, I think it's worth it, you know. Anyways, that's the video. Hope you enjoyed. Feel free to follow me and DM me on Instagram, or shoot me an email, or just drop a comment if you have any questions. I'll try to make a video about my tech stack, and anything else. If you have any questions, you can let me know.